Welcome to this historic groundbreaking for PS 103, the Thurgood Marshall Amenity Center. Beloved Community Service Corporation, led by Dr. Alvin Hathaway, has garnered federal, state, and local support to complete this historic renovation and redevelopment of the iconic West Baltimore structure. Its mission is to serve urban communities by offering services that really transform lives. BSCS manages programs in technology, cultural awareness, community development, with the goal of improving educational outcomes, revitalize communities, and eradication of health disparities.
We are breaking ground today on the Justice Thurgood Marshall Amenity Center at PS 103. This project is truly a public-private partnership, but I must add another P to the PPP designation. It's a public-private partnership for the people. The project will cost more than $12,500,000. It took 2 years to raise those funds. One of the first new market tax credit deals in this community that combines federal historic tax credits and state historic tax credits. When I began, I didn't realize how hard it would be to knit together this capital stack. There were many sleepless nights, much anxiety, and sometimes feeling the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. It would get heavy. I can honestly say this community is worth the struggle. This project is worth the investment, and Justice Thurgood Marshall is definitely worth the respect. Justice Thurgood Marshall should be to Baltimore as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is to Atlanta. Yeah. The Justice Thurgood Marshall Amenity Center will attract tourists to this community and be a major anchor in this section of Upton. Let's rebuild this community together by following the Upton Master Plan and making catalytic investments throughout this historic African American district.
I can't think of a better way to break ground at the Justice Thurgood Marshall Amenity Center here in Upton. Today, as you know, we are celebrating the 114th birthday of the Baltimorean and a Titan of freedom, Justice Thurgood Marshall, by breaking ground on this historic building. This new center and the programs that will be housed here will add to his legacy, will add to the legacy of this community, will add to the legacy of Baltimore, and reflecting his lifelong commitment and support for constitutional protection of the individual rights for Black and brown people across this country. This renovation of this 22,000 square foot building, which once gave a start at educating and providing an opportunity for success of long ago residents in Upton who went on to change the world, is the right thing to do today, at the right time, in the right place to do it. Together, we are building and facilitating Baltimore's renaissance so that we can do it in a different way, Reverend Hathaway, in partnership with our communities, not just development in communities, but with community. And we were so excited not just to spend $750,000 to help save the building through the roof, but even to issue the RFP, and we're so happy to award that to Beloved Community Services Corporation because we know that this organization has the heart of this community, that has the support of this community, and this organization is the community. This shows, again, another example of how we can come together to impact and have impact investments in neighborhoods perhaps that were disinvested in on purpose for so many generations. How we can flip that switch and start today to show a different way, that together is the only way forward for Baltimore, and it starts by investing in neighborhoods and people and making them see that we believe in their humanity, we believe in them so they can believe in themselves.
Several years ago, a friend of ours introduced Dr. Hathaway and myself, and we had a wonderful time and a friendship and admiration for our respective works. We quickly recognized that our shared vision and interests were very similar. And so Dr. Hathaway invited me to have some space in this building in West Baltimore, which would not just preserve the history and legacy of the Henry Highland Garnet School, but will also bring revitalization, reinvestment, empowerment, and pride in this historic community. I am excited about being part of this. I can't wait till this building to open, and we're going to work hard as we expand the Judge A.W. Center right here in West Baltimore.
You can relate to that experience that many of us have had when finally that youngster who you love dearly moves on and gets out of the house, and you have the luxury of supporting them and watching their development, but at a distance as they move forward. Well, that's how I feel about this particular building. So there was this commission appointed, and our charges were to get the building stabilized, to assemble and to preserve its history, and to give recommendations as to what use the building should have thereafter. The stabilization was an effort. We didn't want the building essentially sold or given for just to be a normal commercial venture. There was some thought about that, but we said, no, we don't want that. We want a large portion of it, if not all of it, to be dedicated to service. And not only service broadly, but there also had to be accommodation for the immediate. And now we have reached a point where an activity, use of this building fits exactly the recommendations of the commission. It took a while to do it, but Reverend Hathaway, this is exactly the kind of use that was recommended.
I'm here today because this is an important event. It's important because we honor by a center or a amenity center, a man who, throughout his legal career, worked hard to make this a more perfect union, not only for African Americans, but for all people. This center, which will bear his name and do the kinds of work that he was so in tune to, will serve as a reminder to all of us that we have work to do to make this union a more perfect one, to improve it, and to continually see that it does not retrogress. So I say that this building is important because it has the name of a person who was interested in making this country live up to what it purports to be. And it reminds us that it will never be what it purports to be until we all join together and insist that it is so.
Revitalizing this building is not just important to the neighborhood that we're in, but also to the city of Baltimore. This project connects to so many different things in the West Impact Investment Area. It connects to revitalization of vacant residential buildings. There's properties on the block where this building is located that have been awarded to a developer for revitalization. There's other additional properties around the corner of the street, as well as some other economic development projects that are in the neighborhood that are important to kind of bring a holistic view of amenities and revitalization to the city. Having a place that our youth can go to, where our residents can go to. That's what the Thurgood Marshall Center is going to be providing. It's going to be providing a lot of resources that are needed in the city and specifically in this community. So, it's always important when we bring buildings back online and turn them from vacant into productive use, and having a building that is vacant now that then will be a vibrant center with residents coming in and out of and getting the resources and different programming that's needed is going to be a huge benefit to this.
This project was something that's long coming. Like you heard about the demise of the building, and now the opportunity to have it stabilized and move forward is just I think it's one of the things that you do in our kind of work where you get to see the fruits of your labor, and it'll have a lasting impression. It'll go on for another century. This can be a model for revitalization, have a central piece to coalesce around in other parts of the city. To have a center as we described here seems a lot different than a traditional rec center. This is plugging in opportunity for people in many different walks of life.
This particular project represents the elimination of blight, a building that, because of it not having been occupied, the fire occurring in 2015 further brought the building into blight, and it was an eyesore and a problem for the community. Now it's going to become a focal point of development for this region. And there's other city assets that are in the immediate area that are going to be developed next that are going to continue that growth. So it's the little pebble, and these are the waves that are going to start the growth throughout the entire neighborhood.